Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson.
And 15 PCA.
ATIP454.
Be sure to follow us over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. So we're up to episode 4 in She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, and thank goodness we got a legitimately bad episode. The first 3 were varying levels of mediocrity, and it's hard to do those ones because it's just so boring. But this one has story problems where it like doesn't make any sense. You have horrific art and animation. It says there's some of the background characters literally look like they're out of a coloring book. They're so bad. And you get terrible, horrible jokes. So finally, they can really, really tear this one apart. So we open up and Glimmer is giving Adora like the tour of the kingdom. And they always make sure that there's one royal guard who is black and all the other royal guards who don't really have a personality or anything. They're all the white ones. But the one person of color has to be the one who's leading everyone. These things shouldn't matter, but I know why they did it. If this was done in some other show, it wouldn't matter. But since they're pushing all that kind of SJW nonsense, so they always have to make sure she's the leader, she is the one with the most personality and the most voice. All the stupid white ones, they're all the same. They don't do anything. So they're walking through the halls, and she brings Adora to her room, and of course Adora's like, I don't know where any of this is, and I've never been in a place like this, which makes sense because she kind of just grew up in a military type situation, like in a barracks. And this is something I find weird because Glimmer, her power is like, I guess she can only use so much of her power. Why is she teleporting everywhere all the time if she has to constantly recharge it all? Is it because she's lazy? Is it she doesn't want to walk over the room, or she's showing off? It doesn't make any sense because she literally ran out of her energy in the previous episode, and if she was like in a fight, she'd be dead. So you'd think you'd be a little more, you would conserve your energy. And then, just dumb jokes. And she's like, oh, there's the crystals, and here's your bed, and here's your pillow. Oh, there's more crystals, and there's your waterfall. And Adora actually asks a decent question. She's like, oh, is that so I can take a shower? Is that what that waterfall is for? And Glimmer laughs at her. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, they're using a waterfall for a shower. Okay, see ya. She knows Adora didn't grow up like she did. She knew she grew up like in basically a hellscape. You kind of need to show her more, explain things to her, but instead she just kind of just leaves her to her own devices. And we get more awful art of Adora, where again some of these images, she looks a lot bigger than she is. When like she's like beating up the bed because it's too soft, which would make sense. She's probably used to sleeping on again military style barracks type sleeping. She can't get comfortable. Then she like beats up the actual bed, and it explodes, and she runs out of the room, and all the feathers go everywhere, and it's like they're going full blown silly. Yeah, that's another thing. This episode is absolutely, to take it the narrative in any type of sense, you got to say, okay, this is Looney Tunes logic, because it is absolutely silly beyond all belief. So she beats up the bed, and the feathers go everywhere, and she's like walking through the halls, like calling for Glimmer. I think I killed the bed. Yes, you killed the bed. Be like, I can't sleep on this bed. Is there anything else? Don't be serious. Act like a moron. She runs into the mom, and I guess someone in the comments was letting me know her name's Alexandria or something, but it's not Bright Moon. But that's the name of the actual land they live in. So she runs into the queen, and some of the art here isn't so bad. Like right here, I'll have it up on screen. This art looks pretty decent. Then it just goes back and forth between being okay to being horrific. Then Adora doesn't know what to say. She's like, oh, your majesty, sir. And then she kind of like salutes and curtsies at the same time. Why would you do that? That's you look like an idiot. And of course, I just like the fact that she just looks at her like, you're an idiot. Stop doing that. And then she's like, oh, hey, what are you doing up right here? And it's like, why are you talking like that? I know you're nervous, but my goodness, you're not an idiot. But I actually like this little part. It shows the queen, and she's looking like at a mural on the wall, and you see like a man. First, I was hoping it was a man because it's a beard, but you never know in the show. And she's like, oh, this was my husband, and we came, with the idea of the rebellion, and he died in I guess she said the first battle, or how pathetic. But she actually shows that she misses her husband. Like, oh, thank God, heterosexuality, it's a thing. It's not just a myth. So she's talking to her, and then she kind of gives her it's weird because in the previous episode, she was like, "Oh, you're She-Ra. I'm all for you. You're going to be the hero to come here and thank you." Then she's kind of giving her the business, like, "I trust you because my daughter trusts you," but like just being mean to her. Like, it's a complete opposite of how she treated her in the previous episode. It's weird. And then it cuts to the next morning, and we have Glimmers waking up, and she sleeps in her armor and everything. Like, she doesn't actually have like a pajamas of some kind. I would imagine she would at least dress down, but she's wearing all the same clothes. And she wakes up and Adora's in her bed. They're separate, they're nowhere near each other, but she's still sleeping in her bed, and she freaks out. And Adora makes, she's like, "I've never slept alone because I've always slept in a barracks with everyone else." Okay, that kind of makes sense. Why wouldn't she wake up Glimmer and ask her, "Is it okay if I can sleep in your bed or near you because, I don't feel comfortable?" No, just sneak in someone's bed and not let them know. That's a good idea. And again, here's another more shots of Adora being kind of like a thicker version of Adora, so you can tell the consistency of character designs don't really matter here. And how does she get up in her bed? Because Glimmer's bed's like suspended from the ceiling, and there's no way to get up there. I'm assuming Glimmer just teleports up there when she wants to go to bed. So did Adora climb up the wall and jump off? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So we get pouty Adora. She's like, "Oh, I ran into your mom last night. I don't think she likes me. She only likes She-Ra. She doesn't like me." It's like, I didn't get that from that last episode, but apparently, I don't know, it's just weird. And of course, she has to like console her and everything because we always have to talk each other up. That's been in almost every episode. Someone feels bad, and then your best friend has to talk you up. Anyways, they go, "Oh, your mom, my mom invited you to like the generals meeting. The generals meeting with all the children because." Again, no one's yet to explain to me why so many children are in commanding positions in a war that's a pretty serious war. This isn't silly, Saturday morning cartoon silliness. Is portrayed as a serious thing, and it's not. It's, okay, we'll send 12, 13, 14-year-olds to be commanders, even though there's actual soldiers that are way older than them. It's just weird. Someone needs to explain that to me. So she walks into this, I guess, the chamber where they have, like, the meeting. And it looks kind of cool. I like the design. It's a round table. And it looks like a pretty huge table. You see it again, then it's actually really small. Again, just the inconsistencies are just awful. So she walks in there, and she sees, like, there's a whole bunch of different chairs and everything. And, Bo's there being silly as ever. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot these other two characters' names. They're going to be up on screen. One's like Spinderella. It's not Spinderella, but it's something similar to that, and I forget what the other one is. And even he goes, "Oh, I don't even know what they do," and they just sit there. Well, they're at this meeting, and they don't have anything to say or add. They never talk. That's just weird. Why would you even admit that in the show? Like, "Oh, we have characters that we don't know what they're good for." Well, that's real nice. So everyone's sitting down, and Adora sits in a chair, and everyone does the whole gaspy face, big eyes, and everything. It's really stupid. And they're like, "Oh," and the queen walks up, "Well, that chair is for my husband. That's not your seat." And so she sat in the wrong chair. Well, it's an honest mistake. She honestly has no idea how any of this works. And why in the world wouldn't Glimmer say, "Okay, this is going to be a room. There's going to be a lot of chairs. You're going to sit next to me." They don't prep her for anything. Like, they literally set her up to fail all the time. Be a good friend. Don't let your friend go into a situation where for 100% fact she has no idea what she's doing. Come on, a little bit of prep talk. That'd be nice. But, she did the queen touches the chair, and she's like remembering her husband. I like that. That's the little glimmer of what I like in this episode is right there. Then they're talking about, what's it, Perfuma? Is that the name of the land? Get it? Flowers, perfume. Stupid. But they're like, "Oh, they're being under attack. They're under siege from the Horde. We're going to send, like, humanitarian aid, like food and, like, medicine." It's like, you got to fight these guys. Food and medicine is not going to get it done. And, we get the lady. Of course, it's the captain, the Royal Guard captain lady. Of course, she's black because all the all the other guards who are faceless, nameless, and useless are the white ones. They got the person of color has to be the one in charge. It's explaining the situation, but, shows off, they're being sieged and blah, blah, blah. And then it shows the table again. Remember I said how huge it looked in that first shot? Look how tiny it is here. Just no consistency. It's freaking ridiculous. Then, of course, the two useless ones are saying nothing. They don't even talk. They don't talk this whole episode. They just sit there. And then Glimmer's like gonna say something, and the mom cuts her off, and she's like, "No, we're not gonna fight." And she's like, "Oh no, I was gonna say make a Glimmer thing and hit him with Glimmer bombs or something." It's like, why are we cracking jokes? What? This is a war room. This is we're gonna, these people are under siege. They're probably being killed or kidnapped or destroyed, and you're making silly jokes. I just don't get it. Is this world silly or is it serious? They can't seem to make a decision, so they play this weird middle ground, and it just comes off as stupid every time. Then the only person who actually talks like a normal person, except for the fact that she stands up. Adora says, "Okay, send me, Bow, and Glimmer. We'll be the ones to deliver the supplies, and if anything happens, I can become She-Ra and I can defend everyone." A decent plan. The mom agrees to it and says, "Okay, that's going to be the plan." Of course, oh yay, the bestie squad back together again. Cut back to the Fright Zone, and we get Adora's original team. They're like practicing, and of course, the little blonde kid is like being held up in the sky by one of these little the spider bots, and I'm worthless. Will he ever do anything in this whole show? Will he the only one who gets killed? Like he got killed in the training simulation. He was the only one who got injured in the last battle. Now he's like pathetic, like absolutely pathetic. So they're all training, and they're like, "Where's Catra?" And then Catra shows up. She just got made whatever field commander from the last episode. Apparently they don't know that. And then she comes in talking crap. Oh, poor stupid, I forget the girl with the dreadlocks. I forget her name. They only say it a couple times. And she's like, "Oh, you're so stupid. I'm field commander. I don't have to do this." And they also made the comment that she's not in uniform. She's never been in uniform. She's always wore this red thing. And she's never dressed as the other soldier, like they're supposed to be part of a team. She just wears whatever she wants to wear, which is kind of odd that she didn't wear the same uniform as everyone else, but whatever. Even Adora wore the right uniform. Then, of course, there's the loser guy being hung upside down because he can't fight. "Oh, hi, Catra, how's it going?" Ridiculous. This part was actually a little bit funny. She starts talking crap, and starts talking crap about Shadow Weaver, and then she goes up right behind her, and it's like, ha, you got caught. Then, Shadow Weaver's like, come with me. They go into the locker room, and she's, giving her the business about what happened with the last battle. Like, how did you fail? What exactly happened? And of course, she's, lying, and Shadow Weaver knows she's lying. And this is a little ridiculous. I don't know if she drew this picture or if someone else drew this and put it on her locker to make fun of her. But it's like a little kindergarten drawing of She-Ra like on a horse in a rainbow. And then she rips it off. Like, who drew that? Is this a gag, or is this like something she did? It doesn't really tell you which one's which, but either way, it is a ridiculously drawn drawing. It's like, are these 5-year-olds or are these teenagers? It's ridiculous. Then she keeps interrogating her. "You're going to let me know what's going on with Adora, and I know you know her secret, and you can't hide things from me." So she makes little shadow hands, and then she Shadow Weaver gets I guess her powers draining. That's another thing in this show. Everyone's power comes from a source. So, Glimmer had to recharge. Looks like Shadow Weaver has to recharge. Later in the episode, the Vine girl, I forget her name, her power's connected to a tree. So it's like no one has any power of their own. It all comes from something else. Whatever. So Shadow Weaver retreats, and we cut back to the bestie squad. So we got Glimmer and Bow. They come upon the Perfuma, and it just looks like generic fantasy town. And Adora is She-Ra, and they're like, "Oh, do you always have to be She-Ra for this whole entire mission?" She's like, "Oh, I told your mom I'd do it, and look what I can do." And she lifts up this cart of, I guess this would be the supplies, and she just holds it the whole time. She literally holds it for 5 minutes. And this angle looks awful. It's just a terrible angle here. And then she's kind of showing off and being like, "Oh, look what I can do. I can lift it with one hand." And then the flower people show up, and the main princess girl, the one with the blonde hair, is there. And she's like, "Oh, thank goodness you're here." And they introduce themselves, and she makes them flower hats. And Bow couldn't be any happier than to have a flower crown. It literally, he just won the lottery. He's such a good guy. We do the anime thing where she gets the sparkly eyes, and "Oh, it's She-Ra, she's here to save us, and she's so wonderful and perfect." And she's like, "Oh, the legends," and all that kind of stuff, and all the townspeople are there. And these background townspeople look awful. Some of them are okay. Like the guy here, he kind of like has a weird surfer dialogues. I guess they're all like hippies. But this person on the left, is this a man or a woman? I'm from the vest, the open vest. I would imagine that this is a guy, but that face and hair just screams woman. So I don't know. It was an odd look. But then they're all like, oh, super happy. Oh, you're going to come here to save us. And then, you know, you're going to make everything better. And she tries to give like a speech and everyone just stands there. And of course, people got to cry because everyone cries. And then everyone's like in love with her. So they're like handing her stuff and giving her things. And they keep handing her babies. Like 5 or 6 times during this episode, she gets like handed a baby. And she doesn't know what to do. And it's just really odd that why would you even do that? It's just supposed to be like the whole, you know, the politician kisses a baby, you know, for the newspaper. So everyone's like, you know, bombarding her, like grabbing her and hugging on her and everything. Look at these background people. Absolutely pathetic. This art is as bad as I've seen in the first 4 episodes. This episode has the worst art. It is, again, Tumblr. You would see this in someone's little webcomic that they make on the weekends because they're bored. This is the quality of art. Absolutely pathetic. So they're talking to her and everything. Again, the Vine girl, I forget her name. And she's like explaining everything like, oh, this is where this is where that is. We make different plants. But it seems like every time she makes a plant, it like instantly dies. And she explains how her power comes from the big tree. It's the Dooku tree. And she's like, oh, but you know, they've been poisoning everything. And, oh, but you're here to save everything. The universe will make everything right. And she kind of, you know, very hippie, like, we're not going to save ourselves because, you know, the universe is going to save us, and the universe brought us you, and you're going to be the one to save everything. So she keeps making flower stuff, and it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. And of course, She-Ra's like, oh, I don't know if I can do any of this. I know I can fight, but I don't know if I can, like, heal your tree. Cut back to Shadow Weaver being all, like, she needs to recharge. So there's a big evil crystal thing in the middle of the room, and then she makes the comment of, like, you know, you can't refuse me or something, and then she, like, draws power from it. So I'm like, so is there something in this crystal, some type of magic she's tapping into, but it's like a forceful thing? But I thought she got her powers from Hordak, so why would she have to demand the power? Really weird. I don't know, maybe they'll explain that later. But Hordak hits her up on the little view screen, and this little creepy little baby. But he's talking to her saying, why have you defied me? And she's like, well, I haven't defied you. He's like, yes, you have. You've taken more troops, more resources to go find this one soldier when I told you, forget it. If Adora's gone, she's gone. Who cares? Let's carry out with the mission. And of course, Shadow Reaver's like, no, she's important to the plan and everything, or to the army. So it leads me to believe Shadow Weaver knows about Adora's special ability that she can be She-Ra, or knew that she was something special, while Hordak literally has no idea who she is. Like, Hordak just sees her just as another soldier. Maybe she was good and she did a good job, but she's just as disposable as any other soldier. So he basically tells her, stop doing that crap and get the job done. But of course, you know, she's going to do her own thing and defy Hordak, which is like another thing where she's so important, why didn't she just explain it? But of course, they're bad guys, so they're idiots, so they don't know how to do anything. Go back to Perfuma, and we get the more people just giving things to She-Ra because she's supposed to be like this amazing, wonderful person. So they're handing her food, giving her more flower crowns, and it just goes on and on and on. With horrible, again, these background characters are terrible. Then she kind of like alludes to the fact that, oh, there's been stories and legends of all the great things She-Ra has done. She tamed the beast of something, and and she came down and this. And then Bo, look how terrible this looks. This is ridiculously bad. His proportions are crazy off. But he starts explaining how, one time She-Ra borrowed my toothbrush and like defeated a whole army. Like, why would he lie? Why would he just make that up? It's so stupid. Then she was like, no, that didn't happen. You're right. It was 2 armies. Oh my goodness, Bo, you're beyond stupid, like ridiculously stupid. I guess later on he tries to explain, I was trying to help. No, by lying to everyone, that's not helping anybody. So again, then we continue on, handing her more babies, handing her more stuff, and we get this surfer guy who's probably the only well-designed background character. Then Glimmer's like, hey everybody, everyone form a line so they can like give her the gifts one at a time. They give her like a wind chime and like some more food and flowers and stuff. It's like, this is so stupid. Then they see that there's they try to explain to them, well, guys, this you gotta have to fight. You can't just hope for things to be better. You actually gotta do something about it. And like, oh no, we believe in the universe and all that hippie bullcrap that everything will be fixed in the end. And she was like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to heal this tree just with good thoughts and good feelings. You got to be able to actually do something. So she's like, oh yeah, let me just go with my two buddies over here and we'll figure it out. And we get another scene that's just beyond stupid. It's like, oh, just concentrate and see if you can heal something. She powers up and ends up knocking a hole in a tree. That's the opposite of healing a tree. No effing duh, Bo. She gets it. You don't need to be cracking jokes when someone's struggling and you're just like making fun of them. Just don't do that. And I'm looking at this scene, and this happens multiple times. There's no sword. She does not have her sword on her. It is, no one's holding it. It's not sticking out of her back. It's not in a scabbard. It's nowhere. So after she punts a hole in the tree, she has her sword. What the hell? Where the hell did that come from? She powers up and again shoots, and it turns like a lizard into like a winged, just like how she did with Swiftwind, and so it has like a rainbow wings and a horn. And then even Bo's like, was that what happened to her horse? And that's exactly what happened. So she can't get it done, so she gets angry, beats up a tree, and then we get about 3 to 5 seconds of like tree bashing sounds. So she's having a little rage fit, destroying the forest. And it's just funny. It's stupid. The forest is being poisoned. Let me knock down a few more trees. It's really, really dumb. And we have the scene where, again, the consistency of animation is really bad because how tall is She-Ra? Is she 7 foot? Is she 8 foot? Is she 5 foot? Because she's supposed to be super tall, and then we get the scene where Bo puts his hand on her shoulder, and what? He shouldn't be able to do that. He would have to reach up really high, but the angle of his arm shows that maybe he's the same height as her. Inconsistent bullcrap. I can't stand it. It just kills me. Then they keep seeing the smoke in the distance, like throughout the episode, and like, we better check that out. Oh, the universe will take care of it. You're an idiot. So they're in Perfuma runs. That's not her name. That's the name of the land. I forget. Vine Girl shows up and she's like, oh no, the worst thing in the world happened. They're poisoning the tree, and you see that there's actually like green vines going through the tree, so it's like choking it out. She's trying to heal it. She can't heal it, and she apologizes and powers down to a door. Of course, everyone's like, who are you? Where's She-Ra? And she has to explain herself, and no one trusts her. Everyone hates her because she's not She-Ra anymore. And like literally they're in tears because everyone cries. And she's trying to explain herself. Well, we can fight. Do you guys have any weapons, or you guys can do anything? Because sitting here and hoping hasn't done anything. Then, Glimmer's trying to explain the situation too. And of course, they don't believe him. Like, oh, we're going to just run away. We can't be here. We're going to get killed. And Adora has her again, self-doubt again, where, oh, no one likes me. We like you. And of course, that's enough for her to, get up there and, her plan is to attack the encampment, whatever. I guess they're being sieged. This is where the narrative just goes out the window. They just show up and they're wearing Horde uniforms, like the full-on like armor. I felt like I missed the scene. There was like a sequence where they knocked out some guards and stole their armor. It goes straight to them having the armor. Well, when did that happen? Like, are you kidding me? Like, they couldn't show that and they don't explain it. They don't even mention like, oh, thank goodness we knocked out those guards. No, they just have the armor. Did they have this beforehand? Was this... It's so... How stupid do they think their audience is that they wouldn't even be able to piece together, whoa, where did they get this stuff from? So instead of wearing the helmets, they have them off because they treat the audience like they're stupid, because if they're wearing their helmets, they wouldn't be able to tell that they're the good guys. And of course, Adora has information like, oh, we have shifts every half hour, and that's when we'll sneak in. So they use that to get into the camp, and they're going to figure out there must be some type of machine poisoning the trees. They go into the one room that has the machine because, of course, that's where it is, the very first room they search. And it's like putting poison into the vines and everything, very anti-environmental. They get caught, and the guard's like, what are you doing in here? And then Adora gives a password, but it's an old password. Oh, they haven't used that password in months, so, put your hands up. Then we cut back to the village, and apparently they left a note. Another scene that they just skipped. So before they went on this little side mission, they left a note for the people in the village. And it's like an emotional blackmail note. It's like, oh, we've gone to the camp to see what's going on, and I'm sorry I wasn't the hero you wanted me to be. It's like, why add that part? It's just emotional blackmail. It's ridiculous. Like, you wouldn't write it like that, but it was actually kind of funny. They see the smoke and destruction, and, she comes to the conclusion, hey, guys, we have to fight, get the war chimes, I believe she calls them. So I'm like, oh, they have weapons, they have armor, they have soldiers of some kind. Okay, they're going to go help Adora. Thank goodness they're not just depending on, the forest to save them. Then they cut back to the Feel Good crew, and they're just running away. So they got out of that room where there looked like there was only one entrance, and they didn't show it. Like, they didn't beat up that guard. They didn't get into a fight. They just started running away. And they're getting shot at, and they're just, being silly, throwing things around and running. And it was kind of funny that Adora isn't out of breath, but Bo and Glimmer are, because she's an actual soldier and these two guys are just idiots. So they're caught, the jig's up. I don't know why she doesn't just turn into She-Ra. Like, why wait? But then we get the scene that was in the trailer where Vine Girl busts through the wall and she's like, oh, I've never been so alive and all that stupid crap. Question. If the tree was being poisoned and that was the source of her power, how is she able to do all these things? Wouldn't it be diminished or destroyed, or wouldn't it be able to make this magic? Whatever, they're not going to explain it. Then I'm like, oh, they're going to help her fight. It's not soldiers. They don't have armor. They don't have weapons. It is those same 6 or 7 villagers that we saw with sticks, with one guy has like a pot, and they're fighting armored soldiers with weapons, and they're winning. They literally wrap a soldier up with like a blanket. What the hell is this? This is so stupid. The Hordak's army is incompetent beyond all belief. Like, you couldn't even begin to imagine how stupid they are. They lost to a bunch of little kids. They brought the kids to the battle like 5-year-olds. What is this? This is, oh my god, this is so stupid. Then we get the silly stuff because Glimmer can teleport, so they keep trying to hit her and she keeps teleporting. You missed me. Beyond stupid. But Adora's fighting people, and she can fight people because, she's a soldier. She actually knows how to fight. Take note of this screenshot. She's like doing a roundhouse kick. There's nothing on her back. Remember that. So she's fighting people, and then she runs away and she whips out the sword. Where did it come from? She pulls it off her back, but as you can see in the previous screenshot, she has nothing. There's nothing there. And then she just has it. Why not give her a scabbard? Why not show that the sword can shrink or something? Kind of like the sword of Thundera, and it just becomes like a dagger. But when she needs it, it becomes a sword. This is the kind of crap I can't stand. And this is the stuff they get away with because it's a show for little girls, so they won't care. No, you need to... Don't use that as an excuse. Everyone deserves to have a good show, regardless if they're little girls, adults, your kids, teenagers. Don't be an idiot. Don't have inconsistent bullcrap like this. So she becomes She-Ra and starts kicking everyone's butt again. And she goes, instead of just, because she can shoot, energy waves, instead of just doing that, she jumps on top of the machine and, stabs it. And it looks like it kind of, it hurt her a little bit. So I'm assuming she, imbued some of her power into it and then used its own machine to heal everything. Which is super crazy convenient, because what if she would have just blown it up? But whatever, it heals the tree, and of course, it gets, everything starts growing back together, and then Vine Girl gets all her powers back, even though she already had all of her powers. I guess it just made her that much stronger. She, does, entangle, and all these, plants start growing on the soldiers, but they're not really doing anything. They're just, got flowers on them, and apparently that's enough to make them run away in fear. And that's it, and they just run away. Then they're all happy. She-Ra's there, and they give her a big old hug. And then it goes to show She-Ra's really tall again, instead of itty-bitty like she was before. But they go and say, well, thank you for, inspiring us and all that jazz. And then Glimmer's like, oh, if you really want to help out, join the Princess Alliance, and then we can rebuild that. And then she's like, well, didn't that go really bad last time? And this is another really stupid thing. That was our parents. This is us. Yes, your parents are awful and terrible. We get it. Hate your parents. Teenagers, they're the way to go. And if they couldn't get it done, the parents couldn't get it done with the real army, but somehow the Vine Girl with just regular villagers with no weapons and no armor. There was even a scene where they were beating up a soldier with palm leaves. And he's on the ground. What? It doesn't make any damn sense. And it's is Perfuma a land of only 12, 13 people? Because you see the same 12 to 11 people, like the same character design. So I'm assuming that the whole village was just a little group of people. So they win and everything's great and wonderful. We cut back to Catra, and, you know, Shadow Weaver knows everything. She knows where Adora is. She knows Adora is She-Ra. And then she tells her, why didn't you tell me? Why you hide? Well, you know, you're constantly lying to me. They seem to have this conversation in every episode. Shadow Weaver goes to Catra, asks her a question that she knows the answer to already. Catra lies. She shows her that she's lying, and then nothing comes of it. Like, this just keeps happening. Then she does the I Got Friends from the Other Side song, and then all the shadow monsters come out. We cut back to Bo and Glimmer are like redoing Adora's room and making it more something that she's used to. So it's like a normal bed. It's not like a super fluffy one. And then they're having a sleepover. Oh my God. Bo, you're such a freaking loser. He's an ultimate loser. Then Bessie Squad's having a pillow fight. Oh God, it's so stupid. And then they, you know, go to sleep, and they're sleeping on the ground, and Adora doesn't use a blanket for some reason. But yeah, that's the end of episode 4. The first legitimately bad episode. Like I said in the beginning, the other ones were just mediocre. This one was actually a bad episode because the narrative didn't make any sense. The art is as bad as it's ever been. The animation's awful. The jokes are terrible. So this one's an actual, I say, this is an F episode. This is a complete skip episode. If you're watching every episode, you don't have to watch episode 4. It is terrible, awful. Leave it as it is. Tomorrow we have episode 5. Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, sub, and share. Also, for the most up-to-date information about the podcast, follow us on Twitter at C15 Podcast.